Waiting for it to go live. Okay, we are officially live. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for a very special. This is going to be the Loki podcast, where we're going to break down, talk about the very first episode of Loki, which was the number one highest watch show for all of DC Plus, all of Disney Plus, and just for just a lot of people tuned in. This was a show that was highly anticipated, and we're gonna just dive right in. Let me introduce everyone first. We have Mr. Chris Seeley,
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Mr. Richard Bailey Jr.,
What's up, everybody?
we have Ricardo,
Hey, nice to meet you, everybody.
Tony Polanco,
What is going on, people?
and Carlos Romero.
Yo, 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 what's going on, everyone?
Yo. So let's just kind of dive right in really quick, giving our thoughts on how do we like the first episode of Loki. Tony, I know that you have a lot to not say.
Yeah, but again, this is why I'm looking forward to this, because I saw this episode last night. I'm like, what's the point of this? What the hell am I watching right now? So
Wow.
But I don't really have any strong feelings one way. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. It's just there. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody's opinions, because I'm like, I kind of don't have a lot to say. It's just a weird Loki show for some reason. That's all I really got to say. So I'll just be bouncing off of you guys off of this.
The shade. Richard, are you that shady?
I don't know if you want to go to me next, but here comes some controversial takes.
Already.
Oh,
So I was very surprised, Dana, when you opened the show and said this is the most watched show.
It is.
That was very surprising to me, because if I had to rate all of the Marvel shows we've seen so far, I think Winter Soldier is still number one.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah. So
in terms of like most watched, this was highly anticipated.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I mean, you can't dispute numbers, but I think we could question why it was the most watched, because we'll get into it, man.
But no, I will say, yeah, it's the first episode. It's pretty much setting up the season. It felt like it was a lot more slower paced. Of course, I got the reminder of the stuff that happened previously with Loki. So yeah, and that's good for those that if they might have forgotten. But I don't forget any of that stuff, because we've been watching all these movies for the last 10 years. So, but yeah, I was curious to see what his reaction was going to be when he found out that he actually got killed. And they did get my interest at the very end when they say that, well, now they're actually hunting himself, which I assume is going to be another version of Loki, which we'll discuss later on. But it's an interesting first, start to it. I'm not going to say it was the best Marvel show that I've seen. No, it's just getting the story started. So I need to see where it goes from here. But at the end, they did get me a little bit interested. So we'll see what happens.
I'm muted.
Okay, you're good now.
No, I was muted. Sorry. Let's go to Ricardo. Are you that evil?
Oh no, I'm not that evil at all. Unlike Richard, who remembers everything, I don't, and so I really appreciated some of the whole recapping that they did in that first episode. I know that this Loki show has been highly anticipated since it was first announced, and I know that Loki as a character has been very popular since the first Thor movie. So I was very intrigued to see what they were planning to do with this. And, I understand that this first episode's really kind of setting the pace, or setting the stage, I should say, for the story that's going to unfold. And I'm intrigued. I'm very I'm excited about it. So. Mm-hmm.
All right, then, Carlos.
So, a lot of people have been comparing it to the previous Disney Plus MCU shows. I will say I did prefer the premiere of Falcon and Winter Soldier over this, but I prefer this over the premiere of WandaVision. Yeah. So it's in the middle, in terms of just premieres itself. As far as the story goes, Well, as far as the episode, just as episode number 1, I liked it. It was pretty good. I do have some of the concerns that Tony has. He doesn't know where the show is going to go or what the ramifications of this show has on the entire
Just to be
MCU.
clear, I'm that's not really my thing. My thing is I don't understand the point of this show. Why does it exist?
Because
that's what
it
I'm
is to
asking.
explain literally Phase 4. This is literally why we have Phase 4.
Okay. I thought that was the other shows. I thought that was WandaVision and the other
No,
one.
remember everything was scheduled out of order because of COVID.
Yeah.
So
No, but even
remember
from the jump, like remember again, I know I'm getting too far ahead, but I'm like, remember, I think it was an Endgame, right? Like when and they showed it in this episode too, where like the fucking what's the name of that fucking cube? The cosmic cube. When the cosmic cube fall, they call it Tesseract. It's the cosmic cube. When it falls on his feet, when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh god, look at them. They're already setting up a show. They're in the middle of a movie. Like why? This is stupid, you know. Anyway, Carlos, sorry for cutting you off, man. I decided to make that clear. I just don't understand the point of the show. We'll go on.
Hatred for this show you have.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I guess the point of the show is to showcase Loki, just like how the point of Falcon and Winter Soldier was to showcase them, and WandaVision was to showcase them. That's the whole point of these shows. I mean, they're obviously tied into a bigger universe, and I guess for a lot of people, that's the most intriguing part. For some people, it's the character, and you know, like Dana mentioned, this is the most popular show out of the 3 because it's Loki. That's the only thing. Loki is a really popular character within the MCU. Ever since Thor and especially Avengers, his popularity ratings just boosted up into the top. He's way more popular than Wanda and Vision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Easy. I think he's more popular than all of them combined, to be honest. So yeah, I like the episode. I like the way the character was. They showed vulnerability. They showed him his past, and I like the way he acted. I liked all the characters within the show so far. Tony mentioned like he doesn't understand the purpose, and I guess we'll just have to figure out along with the show if it does have one. I don't know if we're gonna get the whole spiel like episode 1. We never get that. We didn't get it for Falcon and Winter Soldier either. So and especially in WandaVision, we didn't know what the hell was going on after WandaVision episode 1.
Yeah.
So a lot of these shows they usually just kind of show more as it goes along.
Chris.
I thought it was pretty good. I understand what some of the stuff they're trying to set up because this is supposed to be filler between the end game and then whenever they introduce like Kang the Conqueror. Like that's what I gathered from this. And you needed the kind of talky part because you have to fast forward this Loki to be where he was at in Endgame, but that Loki's dead, right?
Mhm.
So they, that was the film scene or whatever. So I thought they did nice things. So positives for me was I like the styling. I like the whole TVA thing, how it looked. It's like out of the 70s. There was a little too much borrowing from Fallout, I thought, but I understand why they did it, but it was just like, okay, they have Pip Boys and they have the Miss Minutes. I was like, okay, and then the robot in the wall. I was like, okay, it's a little too much, guys. But I like I thought Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston acted very well off of each other. Yeah, I mean, like I was telling Dana earlier, Owen Wilson is just good at playing himself, right? So that they just play to that strength, just be yourself, playing this time detective, and I think he did that rather well.
Okay, so for a little quick thing for the inspiration, not sure if anyone caught it. It is inspired by the movie Seven, Silence of the Lambs. Remember the TV show Scream? There was a part where he was like, "I'm gonna gut you like a fish." That's from Scream, and so it has that dark thriller feel. This is a show, like I was saying before, it connects, and it's the reason why we have a Phase 4. It's going to show that Loki, not Wanda, was the one who opened the whole timeline thing, and everything has just gone completely haywire, which will lead into Doctor Strange 3 in the Multiverse of Madness. which Tony is like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
He's like, whatever. So that's the reason for that. We also know it connects to Spider-Man 3, and it also connects to Ant-Man Quantumania, which, again, everyone is like, I don't care. So
We need
was
to
there-
see it play out, though. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? Like this is what we're told, but we don't know
Right.
that yet.
Maybe
you know?
this is because I've seen more than one episode. Then I'm really like, yay, and you guys are like, whatever.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this
So-
though, real quick. Those inspiration that you mentioned, very interesting. I didn't catch any of that. To me, I was like, oh, they're doing Doctor Who. So
No.
when I because I was literally almost turned this off after 10 minutes. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever. And then when I was like, just think of it like Doctor Who. It's just silly, stupid, goofy stuff. Then I was able to like, go, okay, then I could tolerate this. I like Doctor Who.
Well, I agree
you know?
with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get the reference to Silence of the Lambs or Seven. Like
No,
those are
nothing
really
like that. It's
dark,
just a goofy show, you know. Yeah.
It's not a goofy show.
I mean, if they're comparing Loki to Hannibal Lecter, that is like the worst comparison
Yeah, that's
ever.
bad. Yeah. That's bad.
The tone of the show ends up being more of Hannibal with time travel.
Not this episode. Not this episode.
Good
Yeah, you can't compare it because Loki's killed way more people than Hannibal.
Yeah. But has he eaten them?
Was there any scenes? Not getting through to anyone. Were there any scenes that were true standouts for either anyone? Go on.
Well, just at the at the beginning when he has to go through line and like, let me see your ticket, and the guy in front of him is like, I don't have my ticket. Why do I need a ticket? There's like no one here. And then he gets disintegrated, and Loki's like, "Oh shoot, where's my ticket?" And he pulls his out. Like it's like you get that comedy side because like Loki, he's a villain and everything, but he's there's a humorous side to him, and you get that whole part of it out of there as well.
Richard, was there anything that stood out?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the scene where he actually saw himself getting killed by Thanos. Because I was curious if they were going to have that character, since they mentioned early on, you can see into the future of what's going to happen. I was curious if they were going to show that, and I was glad they showed it, but I don't know how you prevent something like that from happening if it's already going to happen. So, but I thought that was good. And then, of course, you saw he had a reaction as far as what happened to his mom as well. So they are attempting to show you a softer side of Loki to make you feel as though the character is redeemable, even though he's a bad guy and he always does bad stuff to everybody. So I appreciate that, but we definitely got to see more than just one episode, I think, to fully get where they're going in terms of the path of the storyline, like Tony said.
Chris, was there anything that you liked within the hate?
Oh, so like and hate? Okay, so
She said within the hate.
oh, within the hate. I haven't hated on this so far. I mean, it'll come, but I'll say okay. The scene in the interrogation room where Owen Wilson is showing him the film of his life, that was well done because that reminded me of like a play. Like they're just sitting in this room, the scene doesn't change, and he's just I mean, yes, it's the clip show. They're showing scenes from the other movies, but he's kind of trying to break him down. It's like he's asking him things about his life, and then he says, "Do you enjoy murdering people? Because I don't see mischief. I just see you killing people." And he kind of digs into him to get to the root of why he does what he does. So I thought that acting was very good. So that scene stood out to me. I did have another scene that pissed me off, but I'll save that for later.
Okay, well, Carlos.
Yeah, I think I'm in consensus with everyone else. The Tom Hiddleston, Owen Wilson scenes I think were the best part of this episode. I think they did a really great job, playing with each other, and the way that Loki is reacting to all of his scenes, especially the later ones, are pretty well done. He did a really good job acting those. I obviously, from previous shows, you guys know that I don't read the comics, so I didn't know who the hell the time variance authorities are. I don't know if they actually are canon in the comics or whatever canon is right now. So it's interesting to see these people. I was actually when they first apprehended Loki. I was like, well, why didn't you do this to the Avengers? It's like they're the ones that messed up the timelines. But then they said no, this was supposed to happen. So I'm just trying to think into my mind like, what's like why are the Avengers giving sort of not this this long leash while Loki, who obviously didn't really do anything, is arrested. So that's something I don't know. Maybe you guys know why, but that's something that I really kind of was boggling in my mind.
I'm surprised no one mentioned the actual Infinity Stones.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I guess I should go next. Is I do actually did like something a lot from the show.
Oh
I
God.
love the whole 1960s thing, the whole aesthetics, right? And my favorite scene of the whole show was they're walking down the hall, and you look behind them, and this is crazy city, right? So they look out, and when you look outside, it looks like a cover of a 1960s sci-fi novel. Fantastic.
It's like an Art Deco thing.
Yeah, I was like, this is awesome. And I'm like, I want to see what's in each of these buildings. And Loki goes like, I thought you guys didn't have any magic. He's like, nope, that ain't magic. I love that. It's like, bro, this is all science, baby. Fuck that magic stuff. So that was really dope. But that's all. It's like the visuals was like the character stuff, whatever. But like I just love the visuals on it. It makes me feel like I was watching like Logan's Run or something like that. But like with actual like modern day production, I just didn't like the fact that like after that really cool shot, it goes back to these little corridors again. I'm like, can we get more of those big establishing shots again? That's like the best part of the show. It's like because it looks so cool. You don't really see shows doing that, But I also love how but it was consistent, whether it was indoors or like the big outdoor thing. It had that same look. Like it had like rotary phones. It had clicky shit. Like I'm like, okay, they kind of have this futuristic like retro stuff going on, so that was really well done. And I just looked it up now because I'm not familiar with the time variance, but yeah, they've been in the comics since 1986, created by Walt Simonson. Great artist, but it doesn't seem like they've been used too much when it comes to these time authority things in comics. They're always so wishy-washy because I'm like, even right now I'm asking myself, okay, where were these time varying guys with Kang the Conqueror in the comics? That motherfucker's always messing up time, So I don't know. I mean, with those type of things, you got to, Carlos just answered a question. They're inconsistent as hell, even in the books. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to expect them to be too consistent in this show either. So I'll give that a little bit of leeway. But yeah, the art design, all that stuff, that looks fantastic. Like I'll give a big shout out to the art team, the art design team, because this is very good looking show for sure, especially all the future stuff.
Right. So let's kind of just dive into it a little bit. We're in a different timeline now, and in this timeline, there is someone who is running around killing all the time variants and stealing their technology, so that they can build something or maybe open another time thing. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but can open up something that will bring an even bigger threat to what's going on. And in this one, we have Owen Wilson. He's kind of playing the detective, running around trying to figure out what's going on. And there are different, I guess it's safe to say, different versions of Loki, possibly.
Yeah.
That's running around killing everyone. And because of that, the best way to kill a Loki or to capture Loki is to use a Loki. And they approach Loki and was like, no, I think I can use him instead of killing him. So he's kind of going to be like the detective working alongside Owen Wilson, hunting down different people or different Loki or Loki. I'm not sure the plural of that. So that is the main story there. And so we end up going and we travel into different times and different places where it shows like we saw like it was kind of like a church area. And it was the glass stained church, and it was a little Satan thing, and that's not Mephisto, but still, there was that area there, and we meet this little girl, and the theory is maybe this little girl is Kid Loki, as well, and he's handing the bubble gum, which was given to her by another version of a Loki. So
I don't know about the Kid Loki thing.
I don't know. That's the theory.
Well, Loki is a frost giant. He's a child of a frost giant. He's not. He doesn't look human to begin with. It's because he was raised in Asgard that he looks like that.
Right.
So I dismissed that theory outright.
You're going talking about that scene that was in France, right?
Yeah.
When, yeah. No, I agree. I agree with Chris. I don't think that's the Loki that they're looking for. I think we see that a little bit later in the episode.
Yeah, we see that a little bit later in the episode, but I try not to spoil anything, but
Right.
stuff is
I thought this was
happening.
a spoiler cast.
Well, this is a spoiler cast, but then there's more than one Loki. There's some Lokis running around.
Oh boy.
Well, don't forget, Dana's seen more than one
I've
episode.
seen more than one episode, so I'm trying not to spoil what I know.
I gotcha.
Right. So, yes. So, with that being the plot and the storyline forward, is that anything? I know Tony is like, I still don't like this show. Was there anything with that plot itself of it being, hunting down Loki with a Loki? Was that of any interest? Was there anything that you liked or didn't like?
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
The and obviously this isn't for Dana because she probably knows the answer. The silhouette at the end, they showed someone in a hood, in a suit. It just seems odd to me since they already established that they're chasing Lokis. Why didn't they show this one? My guess is that that's not Loki. At the end.
I
Well, they're
think,
trying to be mysterious and give a cliffhanger, right?
yeah, I think it is Loki, but
Yeah.
Loki has been many things in the comics, including a woman, so it's probably that.
Yeah, very good guess. And no, I did not see any of these advanced episodes.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that theory that's gonna be the female Loki right there, because there's a reason why they don't let you outright see that person's face.
So it's just gonna be Loki dressed as someone else. Or not dressed, but shape shifting as someone else.
Well, it might be an actual female actress playing this character, if I had to make a guess. But I don't know. Dana would know, but she can't say nothing.
Can't say nothing. No, because y'all.
So you guys,
Well, hold on. Let me just ask one question. I don't want to sidetrack. This is for Dana.
is it a controversial one?
Oh.
Well, it's not. Well, I don't know if it's controversial. I just want to ask Dana. I've seen people have a theory. When they showed the animated graphic, when they're talking about the history of the Time Lords, etc., was King the Conqueror one of those that they showed in there? Because I've seen that.
They didn't name him outright, but there is people who have read the comics know that they're talking about King. And also, there is one part where there's this image here where there's the Nexus.
Mm-hmm.
And we already know Nexus from the commercial.
WandaVision, yep.
From WandaVision. And we know that she's a Nexus being.
Yeah. So why didn't they go arrest her?
Because she can. This is going.
Not yet.
See, Dana, this is how I feel when I do the Invisible podcast.
Yeah, now I know, because I'm struggling. I want to open up the discussion, and I'm like, you guys haven't seen anything yet.
So here's the question for Dana: how many episodes have you seen?
2.
Are you allowed to say that?
Oh, she acted big like she's seen the whole season.
No, I'm not acting big like I've seen the whole season. I'm not doing that. I'm not at all. It's just that a lot happens in the next season, in the next episode.
Oh, good. There's a lot happening in this one.
No, they reveal everything. So it's not one of those things where it's like WandaVision and you're waiting into episode, 8 for them to say, oh, this was all a dream. No. They jump right in. And because remember, there's only 6 episodes. So they're just going to be like, look.
Okay.
In the next episode, this is what's going on. Here's all the characters, and peace out.
So it sounds like to me that it has a similar format with WandaVision, because after the first episode, it's like you're wondering what the hell is going on. You didn't really get any answers until about the second or third episode. But it's good to know that next week is going to be a lot of questions answered.
Yeah.
Right, which is why I don't understand why they just didn't release the first and second episode together, because that way it would have sparked your interest way more. And then by the third episode, we really dive into time travel and locations and Lokis.
All right, I feel a little better about this, because I don't know where I got this from, but I was under the assumption that this was going to be like WandaVision, like 10 episodes. Like, I can't watch 10 episodes. But 6, I'm like, okay, because 6 means they got to condense all that shit. So that's good to know. That's fantastic.
And also, it's Tom Hiddleston, so he's going to charge more.
Yeah, you know, that's true. Anyway, I have a slightly controversial statement to make about Tom Hiddleston, but we'll do that later.
You make your statement.
No, because I don't want to derail the show. I'll save it for the end. Final thoughts.
I'm glad that you mentioned what you did, Dana, because it's hard to sort of, go off this episode because like everyone's mentioning, it's sort of trying to be, mysterious in its ways, especially for people who haven't read the comics. Like a lot of us don't know what the hell any of this means. Like the time variants, the time gods. I didn't even know there were time gods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're the time gods who everything is supposed to be in order. The reason why they didn't attack, say, the Avengers, because for them that is something that is supposed to happen. They're supposed to all die for basically paperweights. So that's
that
why
really bothered you, didn't it, Dana?
Well, because it's the fact that everyone sacrificed their life and died. And then they're like, oh, yeah, these are paperweights. We have plenty of these.
Well, I had a problem with that scene, too. It kind of... The whole MCU was building to Thanos and the Infinity Stones. That was like the ultimate MacGuffin of 10 years of movies.
Right.
And then he opens a drawer, and it's like, oh, yeah, we'll just use these as paperweights. So that's kind of a shitty thing to do. I think you could have shown how futile it is to fight the Time Variance Authority and how magic doesn't work and all this stuff without having to shit all over 10 years of movies.
Yeah, no, because you're right though. That was the point, is to show like the Infinity Stones, the Cosmic Cube, like within that space they don't function. So I understood that, but you're right that it kind of negates their importance, because it's like these are two of the things that were like the driving forces of the MCU, right? The Cosmic Cube, the Infinity Stones, or whatever, and then it's like, they're just paperweights. So I do understand that. Like, I don't feel as strongly about it, but I totally understand the sentiment for sure. And then my question is, because the show didn't answer this, like, because they said, oh yeah, we got a bunch of these around. So are they Infinity Stones all from different dimensions? It has to be. That's the only way.
Yeah.
I just want to know, like, are any of those edible? Because they look like candy. You know what I'm saying? that would be the ultimate insult. It's like, oh yeah, these are candy in our universe.
Like Jolly Ranchers.
They're like the Jolly Ranchers. Exactly.
But in a way, it shows that yes, though those stones were important for what was going on in that timeline, and this is to say that this is something completely new. So whatever it is that you expect can happen. Thanos might pop up and be like, but he's a janitor who's just happy being a janitor.
Yeah.
For example. So, and then also remember, we saw Goose the cat, who's from Marvel, Miss Marvel, somebody's Marvel, Captain Marvel. And Captain Marvel, and Goose was just like, meow, just a regular old house cat. That was Goose the cat. So it's to kind of show, yes, that was important what happened. We saw that, but in this one, anything that you think is going to happen is not going to happen, because we just flipped the script on everyone.
Yeah,
it's like a little bit of power scaling in a sense, because you guys mentioned with the Power Stones being, or the Infinity Stones being the most important thing in the story, and being hard to get and everything, and just like, oh, we have a whole drawer of them. You can't do anything with them in this realm. So it's kind of to show like how futile it is for Loki to try any of his magic, and that's just how powerless he is at that moment. So that's just kind of like to bring that into perspective.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, because in a lot of shows, especially going back to like anime and stuff like that, it's like, especially shonen anime, it's like once you reach a level of power, it's like you have to top that, and it's like, okay, Super Saiyan 1 was the shit back in the day, but now there's the Super Saiyan God, so that doesn't mean anything anymore. So I guess that's what they're kind of doing with the Infinity Stones. It's like, okay, we're kind of trying to nullify them because we want to build on a bigger and better bad, I guess. There's going to be more stakes. There's going to be bigger, someone even more powerful than Thanos was. And obviously with the MCU getting all of these different, they're getting the X-Men. They're going to get the Fantastic Four. They're getting a whole bunch of other people. So I guess that's what happens when you raise the stakes and have all these new characters. We were talking about the Eternals. It's like these motherfuckers look, from the trailer at least, these motherfuckers look all like super powerful. Where the hell have they been?
Yeah.
So they're bringing a bunch of people that are just not Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. It's getting even exponentially more significant with more characters, and I guess the stakes have to be even that much higher. Going back to the whole Loki thing with another part that I found interesting is Loki got taken down by those time cops, and I'm like, damn, that was pretty easy. He didn't. He was supposed to be a god, and he got taken down, and it wasn't even in their realm; it was in his realm, essentially. So when they were talking about how there's another Loki that's pretty much just killing all of these cops, I'm like, what? How? I mean, the other Loki got effed up.
Because it's turning Loki from another universe. So each Loki that you have will have different sets of powers and different points. They're different versions of each other. So the Loki that that is captured by the TVA, his power doesn't supersede theirs. But the Loki that's running around killing everyone does. There's different versions of magic as well. So going back to WandaVision, remember when they did the whole speech on this is chaos magic?
Mm-hmm.
There's different versions of magic that have different levels of how it works. If that makes any sense.
That makes sense.
That makes sense in the fact that it probably won't make sense in.
Yeah. After you watch the other episodes, it probably make a lot more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious because when I saw when I was seeing that Loki was taking all these TVAs, I'm like, well, maybe there's someone behind him, kind of how Loki there was someone behind Loki during Avengers.
Well, it could be that I don't know. So, yeah. So moving on, was there any other thing that you guys thought was good or terrible that you really stuck to you?
I had one that was both good and terrible.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
And that's the Db Cooper flashback, which I thought was going to be a whole other thing. I really thought they were going to explore this, like, oh man, maybe they're going to point out that Loki was all these infamous mysteries in Earth history.
Ooh.
Like he was this man who disappeared, or maybe he was Jack the Ripper, or maybe
they were going to do all this Booth, thing. All these guys,
right. But no, this was just a throwaway thing in the interview, and I was like, God damn it!
No,
that was annoying. And then they don't explain. It's like, okay, is it Loki traveling back in time, or is it just because remember Loki's been around for thousands and thousands of years? So it's like, is that just normal Loki doing mischievous things? That's what I'm assuming it is. But the show didn't do a very good job of explaining.
So you're
that.
saying no, it's not a throwaway.
No,
thing.
what they're doing in the show is they will have Loki travel throughout time. That is very famous moments in time. For example, oh God, I can't split. But just take a really big moment in history throughout the centuries, and they can place him in there and say whether or not he caused it. So we're gonna see not just Loki as Loki, but Loki as other infamous people in very huge events throughout.
But my question is, and I don't know if you can answer this. Again, is that Loki traveling through time, or just Loki who just so happened to be there?
No, that's
no. I'm not asking. I'm asking because remember Loki's been around, so it's just Loki was just there at that time, right?
That was Loki.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
Yeah, okay, because I'm like, hold on. Because again, that's what I'm gonna go with. Because I'm like, okay, if he was time traveling before, why the fuck weren't you guys arresting him? But no, it's just he was just so happened to be there because he's like thousands of years old.
Yeah, because then you have to remember that when he left the plane, Heimdall teleported him. He's dead. And
that's right. Yeah, so here's just Loki being Loki.
Right. But remember, at the same time, they never found out who the real DB Cooper was.
Yeah. Well, so now we know it's Loki.
We know it's Loki.
Yeah.
So he is DB Cooper.
Yeah.
But he's also
by the way, I know what you're talking about, Dana, because I did see because motherfuckers always got to spoil something on Twitter. So I did see him at other famous places in history. Certain volcanic places. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's explored. That is a huge. That'll actually get a storyline.
Yeah. What is this, Yellowstone in the future? Or what?
Yeah, well, it's the past. A certain Yellowstone like event that happened in the past.
It happened in the past. It's really ashy.
Yes.
It's ashy. Lotion. You need some lotion.
Is his name Larry?
So this show, it was a lot of talking, a lot of monologuing, and it kind of dives into the mythology of Loki. So we will learn about why he has the horns, for example, where he came from. We'll learn about his whole history. Remember, he was adopted. So we'll learn about what would have happened if Loki was not adopted. That whole situation. So it does dive into that. I know that there was a lot of monologues through. This was like a monologue show, kind of to set up everything to go for going on. So was there any? I know we talked about anything that was standing out, but was there anything else that you might have wanted to mention, just in general, that I might have missed?
Yeah, I don't like the sacred timeline thing.
That's a little silly. That's true.
Yeah, I mean the whole idea of, I mean, when he's in the courtroom and he's like, "Hey, the Avengers travel through time. Why don't you arrest them?" And they're like, "Oh, well, that was supposed to happen." So let me get this straight. So everything that as and will happen, like if Steve Rogers takes a shit at 2 p.m., that was supposed to happen. That's on the sacred. The space lizards, as he's called them, have ironed that out. His whole bowel schedule for the next 70 years has been ironed out. Like that's ridiculous, because he's like, "Oh, there's free will." No, there's no free will. So I hate things like that in when they do time stories. I hate things like that
Yeah.
because predetermination is the biggest fucking bullshit ever, right? And it pisses me off. I hated it when they did it in Star Trek. They did it in TNG. Like, oh, everything is supposed to happen this way, and it's like,
Arrival.
and then the only other thing that pisses me off besides predetermination is no determination, where it's like every possibility of everything happened, and there's so many branches of shit that if you turn left or you turn right or you picked your nose, you didn't pick your nose, that happened. All of that happened, and it's like nothing matters, right?
What is it?
So
There's like a monkey name. Like, what do you call that? It's like there's a universe where a monkey like invented the internet or something like that.
Mhm.
Like,
yeah,
there's all
like
infinite possibilities.
either
Yeah, or
everything happened or these ultra beings, which I assume is the living tribunal, just split into 3 beings, right?
yeah, they're
Yeah.
actually called. I'm looking it up now. The timekeepers are a thing in the Marvel universe.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah,
it was supposed to be the living tribunal.
That's what. Yeah, that's what I thought too. But I looked it up right now. Yeah, and they were created by Mark Gruenwald.
Oh.
By the way, fun thing. Apparently, the time variants in the comics, they were all clones of Mark Gruenwald. It was like an inside joke because he was like the keeper of the Marvel continuity. He was the editor at Marvel. He was the keeper of the continuity. So like,
That is
okay,
cool.
let's just put him into the comics, and he's the
That's
keeper of
clever.
time in the
That's
comics,
funny.
which is pretty
Awesome.
fun.
Yeah. So the whole that thing irks me because the whole thing with Tony Stark figuring out how to quantum tunnel and travel through time. That's like, oh, he was supposed to do. We let that happen. Like bullshit.
But time travel doesn't work the same way in Loki as it does in Endgame. It's two separate versions of time travel, and Loki broke away from the time travel that's accepted into the path that we know, which is why they're upset.
I'm
If that
sure,
makes any sense.
Well, it also retcons what the Ancient One explained to Bruce
Rich.
Banner in Endgame.
Endgame.
He showed that if you take things out, it branches, right? And the Time Variance Authority is like, no, we don't allow that. We immediately show up and place a grenade on the ground and reset it, like Men in Black, only more extreme. Like they just don't tolerate that shit. Like even the little cartoon is like, if this guy's late for work, we show up and we slap him around and then we reset everything and he goes back to his life. Or apparently they can just disintegrate you if you don't have your ticket. So I don't know what happened to that guy, how he pissed them off, but it's kind of crazy.
Go ahead, Rich.
So I have something I want to say, but I want Ricky to go first because he was trying to say
Yeah, he
something.
raised his hand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
go ahead.
That class, right? You raise your hand, you go your turn.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the newbie here, so I'm just trying to be appropriate here. But I was just thinking back about like how strange it was when Loki was arrested and he was put in that room and the guy had the whole stack of paper and said, "Sign here and confirm that this is everything that you've ever said."
Mhm.
Oh, and this and this, and it's like, but you guys already know everything he's ever said because there's supposed to be one correct,
Yeah.
timeline of how things go. So you know what he said, you know what he's going to say. What was the point of all that? Like that whole thing.
It was just a joke. Yo, Ricky, I'm gonna say this though. I'm glad because I thought they were gonna do like a 5-minute joke where he's signing every single one of those papers. I'm like, oh, thank God he just did one paper. It could have been a Family Guy moment right there.
I was the same way. Yeah.
I was like, oh, here we go. But they didn't do it. So that's good.
By the way, Chris mentions the ultimate point, which is how time travel in almost any medium doesn't make sense. And in here is especially complicated because not only are you doing time travel into a franchise, you're doing time travel into a franchise that has so many movies, so many episodes of TV now. So everything, quote unquote, has to tie in. And the thing that is kind of confusing me a lot, which time travel usually does, is the whole thing about how this Loki that's in the show is not the Loki that was in Avengers.
No.
It's a different Loki. It's a different universe Loki.
Mm-hmm.
But they're saying that his story is going to follow tit for tat what this universe Loki is supposed to do, because they show the future. He's supposed to die. He's supposed to get his mom killed.
They showed the future of what was supposed to have happened.
Yes,
but Loki,
but it's the exact same future as the Avengers universe's Loki.
Mm-hmm.
And my issue is that they're saying that both of those Lokis are two different universes, but they follow the exact same steps into his death. But they mentioned in what's it called, in Avengers Endgame, that each universe can go through different paths. We even see it that Steve Rogers goes into a different universe and he marries Peggy.
Mm-hmm.
They live happily ever after until he leaves her and comes back to the other universe. So that one didn't follow Steve Rogers' path from this universe. So they're all different, but in this episode they make it seem like they're supposed to be the exact same.
Yeah, that angered me even more. Did the TVA visit Steve Rogers be like, motherfucker, you better just keep quiet, don't say anything about 9/11 or JFK. Don't you go Captain America or anything, just sit here and retire.
Yeah, they could have, I want to jump on that real quick because, it's weird because it's like, this is already a different Loki, because the Loki that we know didn't go through all this TVA shit, right? So it's already different. But I guess it's all going to fork back to the way it's supposed to be, because this Loki is the Avengers at the the end of the first Avengers Loki. It's that guy, right? So it's not like the Endgame Loki, but he's gonna eventually go to become the Avengers Endgame Loki. So it's kind of weird, but at the same time, if you I mean, it's a nerdy show, so whatever, right? Like, if you delve into like time travel theory, it's like you could have two universes that play exactly the same. It's just like in the other universe, I just so happen to be wearing a red shirt, but it's the exact same thing. So maybe it's along those lines where it's like the same events will play out the same way, even though the differences are very small and minuscule.
So they're like,
hey, hold on, I got to finish because I got to go off on this other thing, right? And Carlos, just on what you say, because you're 100% right. I've gotten to the point where this really solidified with Endgame, where when time travel comes up, I shut my brain off. I'm like, because it's never going to make any fucking sense, right? So you have the Marvel Universe, you have the Endgame version of time travel, which I cannot explain to you because it doesn't make any sense. In that movie, they made fun of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure time travel. That time travel makes more sense than the shit in Endgame, right? So you have that kind of time travel. Then you had whatever the hell Loki's doing. And I'm like, all right, I'm just quoting Captain Janeway here. When it comes to time travel, don't turn your mind off. That Janeway said it best. Don't even think about it because it'll give you a headache, So because you're right, it's like how do you encapsulate 20 movies, 3 TV series? There's gonna be continuity errors all over the place. We're already seeing them. So yeah, I don't know, man. And it's not just of this show. It's just in general time travel. Like, unless it's Tenet or something, it's just going to be done wrong,
Yo, man, shout out to Tenet.
You already know. You're great time travel. That's how you do time travel,
And Steins Gate. Shout out to Steins Gate.
Yeah, I guess, look, I see that shit. Anyway, go ahead, Rich.
So I just want to make a quick comment. Now that this TVA thing has been introduced, I know that the Marvel is probably not going to be as ambitious with whatever they're doing with Phase 4 because of all the stuff they built up. But I will say this. To go to a comment that Carlos made earlier, I also question, where the hell are the Eternals when all this stuff happened with Thanos? Where are all these other characters? So I would hope that when that movie comes out, there's some explanation as to what was happening with these characters, and this goes for all of the upcoming movies. I hope there is some explanation. Where were these characters at when this was happening in the world? Because when it's a world event, it would make sense that they're impacted in some way. So I hope that is going to be explained.
Thanos is an Eternal.
He is, yeah, he is.
Oh.
So again, it's like, why weren't you looking out for one of your own here? You know. But again, it goes to the whole thing when they introduce the mutants. Like, where the hell have these guys been for thousands of years? You know.
I mean, if we're getting technical, where the heck were Inhumans?
Well, I mean, they're not even in the MCU, kind of.
Well, yeah, but before they were canceled, things were going on too. Yeah. And they were the watchers and of everything.
Yeah, it's silly. I agree with you guys. Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions, but I like the time travel here.
I mean, even the whole thing with going back to Endgame, it's like Thanos brought his whole squad over to a different timeline. Where was the TVA then?
Yeah, that's why I hate this type of stuff in shows, man. It's like you have a series, whatever, comic book, novel, whatever. You have it going on for a certain amount of time, then all of a sudden they introduce a time authority, and it's like, where the hell were these guys this entire time?
Also, if there's one sacred timeline, how was Doctor Strange able to look at 14 million possibilities for them fighting Thanos? There should have only been one.
Chris. Don't get me started, man. The whole predetermined thing is so fucking bullshit because that dictates that the stakes that happen within all of these stories don't really matter because it's all predetermined. It's like, Tony Stark is always supposed to, sacrifice himself for the greater good, but it doesn't really. If people know that, it doesn't really add to sort of the scope of what the sacrifices these characters are doing. It irks me, man. It irked me in Arrival, man. Have you guys ever seen that movie? It's a great movie, but that part irked me the fuck. Anyway, sorry guys.
Well, the last thing I'm going to say, I'm going to use Dana's favorite line.
Oh, come on.
Matter of convenience. Matter of convenience.
Yeah,
that's the explanation that they will have.
Yes, but then this is why they stated before the show aired. This is why they said time travel works differently than what we know. So when you're dealing with the universe as a whole, or universes as a whole, time travel, each universe has its own separate time travel. And the TVA has its own separate set of rules that may contradict one universe's time travel compared to another one. Which, yes, you can then argue it's a matter of convenience. So you could say, yes, the events of Endgame was supposed to happen that way. But now in Loki, it's not supposed to happen that way.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm convinced. I'm convinced that Marvel's hired WWE writers to do this stuff. As you know, the rules matter until they don't. Yep. That's how it is with WWE.
Yep.
All this talk is getting me very upset about this show.
I did it again. Dana, I did it again.
You did it
that was
again.
Chris. That was Chris.
That was Chris because I came in here like low-key neutral. I was like, whatever shows this, but I'm hearing all this. I'm like, this is annoying right now. At the same time, it's not so much a knock on this show in particular. I'm just getting really sick of time travel in stories because it's never done right. And I've been watching fucking shows my entire life. I used to love time travel stuff, right? But now it's like, I'm getting tired of this shit, So now we have multiple universes, each with their own rules of time travel.
Yes.
Oh my fucking God.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
But that's when you come in with the Nexus being the only people, along with the TVA, who rules escape that are Nexus beings, which is Wanda and Kang. So they will come in when we see what is it? The third into the multiverse. What is it? The Madness in the Multiverse? Doctor Strange 3. Right. Doctor Strange 3 will try to come in to reset what is going on with Loki and all of the other things. Because remember, it affects Spider-Man 3 as well. Which is why we saw J.J. Jameson played as the same guy from the original Spider-Man. So remember, at the same time, what's going on in Earth is still going on, which is why when you look at some of these TV shows, things already happened before. Nothing is really linear. So what's going on in the events of Homecoming. What was it? Was Homecoming was the second one, right?
Yeah.
So what's going on in the events of Homecoming, say, it's already happening in Loki, which is why we saw J.J. Jameson from the other
From the
Spider-Man
Raimi
universe.
Spider-Mans.
Right, and which is why when we look at the Morbius trailer, we've seen that they use the artwork and the poster of the Daily Bugle from Sam Raimi.
Yeah, what happened to that movie?
It's coming
Morbius.
Oh, it's no, you didn't hear. Okay, so it's coming out in theaters eventually, but the goal is that in 2022, in the middle of 2022, it's coming to Netflix because Sony they made a deal.
Yeah, that's their money.
So all of the Sony all of the Sony things are coming to Netflix because it was like $2 billion.
This is such a turnoff when it comes to this phase of Marvel right now, man. All this nonsense.
This is not what I had planned. I had planned to make this really exciting, but Chris came in and just ruined it.
No, he brought in the facts. But again, I'm glad about 2 years ago, whenever Endgame, I was like, in my mind, that's when the MCU ended. All this stuff is just filler now. Because that was the perfect end of the MCU. Was just perfect. Now we're just getting all muddled with all this time travel shit, And again, I'm not saying this. I'm like, oh, I'm confused. I fully understand fictional time travel. I'm just tired of it. That's all. It's like, all right, here we go. Another set of rules within the same universe. And then we're going to these fucking movies and then more TV shows. It's like, oh my God. And it's, what it is? It's just a way for the writers to just reset shit as they want. So it negates everything, going back to the Infinity Stones again. It's like, so none of that shit meant anything. That's what you're basically telling me in the end.
Basically, yes. Well, and I hope that means you're excited for DC because that's what they're doing.
Fuck that shit.
That's comic books in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But also, Tony, it also gives them a reason to explain why is there a Black Widow movie when the character's already dead. Now we need to go back in time and confuse you further.
My God! Well, that's just a prequel, right? Yes, that's just a prequel.
He's dead.
See, what's funny about the Black Widow movie? It's probably going to be like the most straightforward type of movie out there. It's like, give me an action movie, I'm good to go. And that's also why I like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. No bullshit. Yeah, that motherfuckers in there beating people up for 6 episodes. Fantastic. That's all I want. Don't give me all this other nonsense.
It's comic books. No one's really dead. They
exactly, bro. Yeah, exactly. Rick Hart is a good point, though. Now the shows have become like the comic books, where it's like, what the fuck is going on? Because again, I've been reading comic books for over 30 years. I sometimes read it. I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
I'm totally jiving with you there, Tony, man. Like I was reading Spider-Man comics in the 90s, and it was like, Green Goblin was dead, and he's not dead, he's back. Yeah. And now he's dead. Oh no, he's back again. And it's like, okay, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah.
And then with Endgame, like that was just like a long investment of time, like watching all those movies to lead up to that. Yeah. And I was so exhausted by the end of it. I'm like, I'm done with this. And it wasn't until WandaVision that I was like, let me give this show a shot because people won't shut up about it. So I need to watch this. Now I'm sucked into this and I feel like I made a mistake.
Oh, damn.
I bring out the feelings. That's my superpower.
Yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
I will say this. This episode I really enjoyed.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure I'll enjoy the what's it called? Doctor Strange movie. Maybe the Eternals. It's just, like everyone's mentioning, once you introduce time travel and the multiverse and the stuff, it gets really, really, really complicated for people to implement it correctly. Mm-hmm. And it seems like they already started off in a bad way. But I'm pretty sure standalone, just enjoying them for what they are, shutting down your brain when it comes to the logic of time travel and the way they implement it. I'm pretty sure they'll be pretty, fairly decent movies. I'm looking forward to the Spider-Man movie because it's gonna implement a lot of different Spider-Mans, like we already heard from the casting news. And I'm a huge fan of Into the Spider-Verse, so doing something similar to that would be pretty awesome if they get to do it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like this episode. I didn't say I didn't like it. I just had problems. So I mean, that's why you invite me back so we can have these interesting conversations. You can't have all fluffy like we all agree and all like it. That's boring.
Yeah, I don't know. After this podcast, Like, man, because again, I was just like, whatever. Now I'm like, yo, this is kind of bad. Like right now, I'm my only motivation for watching the rest of the series is so I can get in here and talk to you fine people about this show, because this is fun. That episode, I don't know about that. So hopefully the show will get better and stuff.
It will get better for those who are like, it's boring, I don't get it. It will get better by the second episode. They start doing the time travel. They'll start going to actual locations. At the heart of it, this is a serial killer show, which is why it's inspired by one of the best serial killer movies.
Well, they need to show us that because I haven't seen any of that yet.
Well, Loki was running around killing people. But
he's not killing people. He's killing the time cops. So they're showing up to do stuff. He's killing them. In 7, he was replicating the 7 deadly sins and killing people he feel it's sin. And Hannibal Lecter he just ate people. I don't know,
okay, well, who is to say that this Loki is not killing for a purpose?
He could be.
So
I hope he is.
It's to stop people from doing the time travel. Is to stop that. And this was to see that this Loki, his purpose is to open up everything so that we can get the other movies.
Yeah, but Dana, wouldn't you just have the stakes raised? Wouldn't you say, okay, Loki went back to 1549. Now imagine this. This is France, right? What if you see that kid is killed and that was Joan of Arc before she did anything and he did that? Right? Wouldn't that raise the stakes? Wouldn't the Time Variance Authority be like, oh shit, we were too late. We couldn't stop him from murdering Joan of Arc, and now those events will never happen, and we have to fix this. That would be huge, right? That would be like, okay, this is like 7, but attracting time cops to a scene and murdering them, that to me is not like serial killer behavior. There's some kind of weird vengeance thing going on, right? That's what I got out of it.
Second episode. Everything will make sense in the second episode.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the first episode, and the time travel stuff makes my head hurt, but I'm still interested to see this other Loki that they're hunting down, and what comes of that.
Yeah. And the point that I will add is I will reiterate once again, the end of the episode did get my attention, but to respond to Dana's question about the serial killer comparison, I will say, at least this show was a hell of a lot better than The Little Things. That was a trash movie, one of the worst movies of the year. So, yes, I will say that. It was better than that movie for sure.
Awful. Wait until you see Fast 9. Talk about fast movies.
Uh-oh.
Yay. So, yeah, unless anyone else has anything else to say, I guess we'll just give our final thoughts of hopefully enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, go.
Yeah, I'll just say I very much enjoyed the show. Like Tony said, the show we did was more entertaining than this episode, but it doesn't mean I don't like the TV show. I'm curious definitely to see where it goes, so I look forward to covering it.
Ricardo?
Yeah, Richard promised a controversial take, and his take wasn't all that controversial as far as like the one better. I mean, we got to see where this Loki series goes. It's only the first episode, so there's still a lot of potential for it to knock our socks off. But from what I've seen with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier and this, they feel like 3 different types of series. So it's hard for me to make the comparison. I liked the first 2 series for different reasons. They had different kind of aesthetics, different styles. I do like that 60s aesthetic with this one that they're going with, from the animation that they had in that courtroom, waiting room area to the closing credits and all that. So I wonder if that they're going to continue that kind of theme as they go along. But yeah, with me, it's more the draw is for me. It's for Loki and what he's going to do. I felt like with the other 2 series, like I wasn't as invested in the characters until I watched, and they built that investment up. I'm already invested in Loki because I've seen him in these other movies, and want to see where the character story goes. So yeah, I mean, I'm giving this series a shot, and I'm excited for the next episode.
Chris?
Yeah, I do look forward to see what they do with this. I'd say they did enough to get me invested. There's definitely things I don't like with the time travel stuff and the inconsistencies, but I'd say the between Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson's acting, the set pieces with the TVA, and the setup for mystery Loki that's murdering time cops. Okay, so I'm invested enough to see. I want to see where this goes. So I'd say they did a good job with that. I'm hoping there's more action. There's only 6 episodes, so I hope this doesn't fall into the trap because Falcon and Winter Soldier needed more episodes. We did talk about that before in the show. We needed to see more John Walker, more of that stuff. There was a lot of exposition, a lot of you remember when this happened? You remember? Please don't do that. Please let condense the story enough where we see everything. Don't. This was the exposition episode. I expect no more of that for the next 5. Like we need to see stuff happening. So that's my hope.
Tony?
Yeah, again, I'm looking forward to doing these podcasts. And I hope this show gets better. Here's the controversial thing I was going to say. I'm not really a fan of Tom Hiddleston as fucking Loki.
Come on.
Here's the thing. Yeah, whatever the fuck his name is. Like, I've never cared for this character, you know? Like, so yeah. So it's like people go, "Oh my god, he's so great. This is the reason to watch it." I'm like, but I never cared for this character. Like in the comics, I barely tolerate Loki as is, and now they changed the comic book version of Loki to be the movie version. I'm like, come on, why? Yeah. So I'm not really. So he's not the draw for me. You know, it's like I guess for me the only draw is like how this ties into the larger MCU, but. Again, and it's not a specific, not going to show. I think I'm just tired of time travel, man. It's like I'm tired of zombie shows. I'm tired of time travel. It's like, stop it already, you know? So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. For the record, Tony thinks Vin Diesel is the greatest actor of all time. So
Vin Diesel's a good actor. Yeah, I don't think he's the greatest actor. He's a good actor.
You know?
My man comes in, he says, "Family, I'm good," you know?
Carlos?
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I'm intrigued. Obviously, you know, the time travel stuff is always something that irks me. But when it's done right, like Tenet and Steins Gate, I freaking love it. I hope it can do a little bit better job. I'm intrigued with the whole, you know, Loki being killing all the time variant cops dudes. And yeah, you know, Owen Wilson and Loki and Tom Hiddleston, I like that dynamic. You know, it brings me flashbacks to Midnight in Paris for anybody that's seen that movie.
Oh, wow.
They did that together. Small scenes though together. Yeah, I'm glad it's 6 episodes because, you know, sometimes, you know, like I think Wanda was stretched out too much. I thought Falcon and Winter Soldier might have been a little bit too short. Although, you know, like Chris mentioned, it might have needed a lot more episodes, but I'm like, I kind of don't agree as much because I felt it needed a different villain. Yeah, I think 6 episodes should be a sweet spot for this show. I'm glad that, you know, like Dana's mentioned, that episode 2 gets a little bit more clear. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And yeah, looking forward to talking with you guys about it every week.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. So that is our show for today. Once again, if anyone has anything to plug, Mr. Tony.
Yeah, a couple of things are obviously first and foremost, Dana, thank you for having me on. You know, even if some of these shows are kind of meh, I always enjoy being here with you, talking to you guys. Always a lot of fun, give our thoughts and rants. So yeah, you could check me, Chris, and Carlos out on Throwdown Show. We're on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And this week we're going to be very, very busy covering E3. As a matter of fact, in about 45 minutes from now, we're going to be doing our live stream of Ubisoft Forward. It's going to be fun. And then tomorrow we're going to be covering Xbox, Square Enix. And then on top of that, we do our normal shows, Throwdown on Thursdays, Sundays, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Thursdays when we do Give Me News, Sundays when we answer fan questions. And obviously this week is all E3, so come through, and also go to our YouTube right now where we have our review of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which is always a lot of fun. And yeah, stay tuned for more.
Richard, I know you have stuff working.
Yes. Well, once again, yeah, we have quite a bit of things that we're working on behind the scenes. We are going to be having a podcast tomorrow for the Xbox Bethesda conference, and according to what I was told before this podcast started, we're actually having 2 special guests on that episode.
Uh-oh.
Some people that have history with the Koalition, so we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. And just stay tuned to our continued coverage, because we're going to be talking about all the stuff that's happening this weekend and next week in regards to E3.
And also, as for me, all of the interviews with the Loki cast will be dropping. I'm now a part of the African American Film Critics Association, which is a cross-reference promotion. So I'm also doing Fast 9 that is coming up. We have the interviews with the Tomorrow War and Infinite, which is a Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch movie, which is on Paramount Plus now.
Mm-hmm.
So that is all coming up. And also I'm covering Tribeca and Trying Not to Lose My Mind at the same time. So that will all be posted. We have interviews. We have a bunch of stuff. Black people, white people, all the peoples. So yes. Anything else? Anyone else has anything to plug? Nope. All right. So once again, this has been the spoiler cast for Loki episode 1. We will be back next week, next Saturday, to talk about episode 2, which is way better. So excitement, and have a great day. Have a great day, afternoon, evening, and peace out, y'all.
Peace.
Lead us.